Welcome in to That's a Tap, another episode with CT and DJ here to preview the recent announcements of some fights. The UFC year is about to kick off. It's 2024. Happy New Year to you, DJ, and everyone listening.
Happy New Year, my man CT. Happy New Year to all our viewers. Great to be back on this side of the new year. Starting early, man. Like we've got some back-to-back announcements that we got treated to, not just in MMA but also in boxing. We had like a big wind up to 2023 with a lot of announcements, great cards, great fights, and now it seems like 2024 starting with a massive bang. So pretty excited for that. I'm pretty sure we're going to get into it, and you can see the image on our episode. The big news that dropped today. We wanted to react on it straight away, timely as well, because today was the day that we were going to release our episode. So here we go.
Yes, sir. I'm excited. A little bit of a shock. This one here, I'll get your thoughts first. The first announcement Dana made was Poirier, right, versus an up-and-comer, undefeated in his first five fights.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you think?
And look, you said it right there. Like, it may be an up and comer, currently ranked number 12, I believe. But he's been on a hot streak. He's got a five-fight win streak behind him. And not just that, he's been finishing his fights in violent, entertaining manner. Right. So we knew there was something big coming Benoit Saint-Denis' way, the French fighter. But look, man, like I'll be honest, I didn't expect him to be matched up with someone like Dustin Poirier so early in his MMA or UFC career, I should say. But hey, that's good though. Like as a fight, it's a banger of a fight. It's quite entertaining. We know that both guys come to fight. Dustin Poirier's got the name value, the star power. And not just that, let's talk about how much value this adds to UFC 299, which is already shaping up to be an extremely stacked card, headlined obviously by O'Malley v Marlon Oliveira. So, man, great fight. I think it's great to see there was a lot of speculations as to which direction will Dustin Poirier go, especially after his uh, loss to Justin Gaethje for the BMF title. There was a lot of questions on would he go to 170? Is this it for him? Like obviously he's made it clear that the title is his end game. He just wants to get that lightweight championship. So I was, initially quite shocked when I saw the news break. Obviously, it goes against what he was referring to, which is fighting up in the rankings. But having said that, man, like it's still just great things because there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this fight. It's a big card, and I think an emphatic win could very well put him back in that title conversation. Maybe one more fight away after this. Um, and yeah, and then we also got another massive lightweight fight that got announced as well, which Dana White clearly said is for the number one contender, which was Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. CT, let me get your thoughts on this. What was your initial reaction when you saw Dana White coming live on Instagram, holding his front camera, right, and then giving us the news? Announcing those two fights. What was your reaction to this fight?
Yeah, man, I was excited.
Yeah,
New Year. I think I saw a little leak, not the fights itself, but a little leak yesterday saying that Dana's coming back from vacation and
yeah,
he's got a few ideas that he's going to announce, he's going
yeah,
to
yeah,
leak, but
yeah,
I didn't expect this.
yeah,
More excited for this one on screen, Charles Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian.
yeah,
I think that's just going to be an absolute banger. And
yeah,
Dana did confirm, DJ, that it's going to be for the number one contender,
yeah,
like you said. And I think that's perfect. I think Sarukian's really deserved this spot. Of
yeah,
course, also Oliveira, due to injury, unfortunately, had to pull out of the title fight with
yeah.
Islam. Now, the other one that you said, the aforementioned Poirier, um, Saint, sorry, how do I pronounce it again?
Benoit Saint-Denis.
Benoit Saint-Denis. Yeah, really deserving of his shot. A little surprised, like you said as well, in terms of Poirier agreeing to this one. But I kind of admire that because it seems like he wants to stop the hype train as
Yeah.
well. So two good announcements to start the year. I'm hyped. Bring it on.
Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, look, when this fight got announced, I think, like you said, there were some leaks even prior to Dana White, saying some big announcements. We saw Armin putting up a post saying that, look, there's going to be some big news coming, and in a similar time, Charles Oliveira puts up a story saying he's in fight camp. So kind of we could put two and two together. So this didn't completely come out of come out like and surprise me entirely, but as a matchup, man, it's pretty exciting. I was a bit surprised because in terms of the UFC going in this direction, purely because Dana White was quite adamant that again, when asked about what's next for Islam Makhachev back in October when he got that win over Volkanovski, he said, "Look, it makes sense to make Oliveira versus Islam." So not sure what changed, what happened in the background, but look, things have changed, and we can kind of assume what that means for the title fight, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But just fight this fight alone, man. I think Oliveira coming back and knocking out Darius the way he did sort of did establish him as that number one contender, but you can't deny Arman Sarukian on this end, who's had a rapid growth rise in that packed competitive 155-pound division. Also coming off a win of Benil Darius, and again in a very emphatic manner in which he got that win. So it obviously gets that problem where we got two guys who've beaten like a top contender, the same top contender, and they both beat this person in an impressive manner. So maybe we put them together to see who the number one contender is. Tough fight for Charles Oliveira, man. To be honest, like Arman Sarukian is very similar to Islam in terms of his grappling exchanges. He's a lot. He stands out in those scrambles, in being able to avoid takedowns, taking opponents down, controlling them on the ground. But then we also see Arman Sarukian as someone, I guess, more skilled on the feet as well in terms of his striking. Although, fair play to Islam, we are seeing his striking abilities now come to the forefront as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the matchup goes. Like it is a big risk for Charles Oliveira. It's more like a high risk, low reward. Whereas for Armin Sarukian, it's obviously high risk but high reward as well. Same with Saint-Denis as well, like high risk, high reward. Whereas for Poirier, it's high risk, low reward. But man, like I feel like the UFC is trying to shape up their lightweight division for the next, I guess, few months. So we've got this fight announced. We've got the the Poirier fight that got announced. That leaves with Islam Makhachev, who's been wanting to fight before Ramadan, which kind of falls in that UFC 300 timeframe. And I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say they are going to try and fit in Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje for the lightweight championship. I think there was a lot more appetite for this fight purely because we did see the Charles Oliveira Islam fight. Majority of the vast majority of the community had seen how that fight played out because it was such a one-sided fight to begin with. I think there was more interest shown towards Justin Gaethje getting that shot, especially after that knockout of Dustin Poirier. So yeah, look, I think that's the direction the UFC is going to go in. Nothing confirmed, nothing official, and they haven't come out and said it, but that's just going to be my prediction or my guess in terms of the title shot, and I'm going to say UFC 300 most likely.
Yep, definitely, man. And DJ, what are your thoughts on the self-announcement reveal from Conor McGregor on New Year's Eve, confirming at 185 with Iron Mike Chandler?
Look, I don't know about the 185 uh, claim. I don't know if the fight's going to happen there. I feel like it may be 170. But hey, man, we're all excited for the return of the Mac, as you can see right here, right? Whether you like him or not, regardless of where he's at in his career at the moment, that man is entertainment guaranteed, and that's what he's going to bring, a lot of entertainment. You could already see like the trolling starting, the mind games with Michael Chandler. I think Michael Chandler's a good sport as well. So like we can see some excitement in terms of that build up. Although Conor McGregor's announced it for July, UFC hasn't come out and said anything, and we know Conor McGregor announces certain things. He likes to sort of have his own trajectory, and doesn't necessarily mean the UFC will go in that same direction. he seems ready to fight. He's been asking for the fight. In terms of preparation, we don't know much about it. He's mentioned that he's in camp. We know, Michael Chandler's always been someone who constantly trains, and in terms of switching from camp mode, it's not going to take too much for him to do that. I think July's or International Fight Week seems viable. That timeline gives them enough time to get back into it. Even being January now, April UFC 300 seems possible as well if that's what the UFC decides. I mean, could you imagine Islam Makhachev, and Justin Gaethje fighting for the title shot, and then you got McGregor fighting Michael Chandler in the 155-pound division to see if let's be honest, if McGregor wins, we know that he's getting the next shot, right? And it'll be interesting. I mean, we could have that. We could revisit Khabib versus McGregor again, but this time with Islam. Even if Justin Gaethje wins, there's a little bit of history there between him and Conor McGregor in terms of some back and forth. Uh, um, Man, but if say you're going 170, which seems also likely purely because of the size of Conor McGregor at the moment, you got another title shot for UFC 300 already booked in, which is I know they haven't formally announced it, but it's all but confirmed. Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. So even if they go the 170-pound direction, and if he does get a win, if Conor McGregor is able to score a win in that 170-pound fight, he will most likely be pushed towards that title shot in that division as well. So
Yeah.
it is there's a lot of opportunities, and I think let's see what the UFC comes up with. They usually present and these big events. They do come out with the big fights. So let's see. I mean, UFC 200 turned out to be a little bit of not a disappointment, but the fight that the card was built around obviously fell apart, which was John Jones, the return of John Jones. Didn't wasn't to be, but yeah, man. Look, there's a lot going on there. So let's see, and let's not forget, Conor McGregor was scheduled to fight UFC 200. He was meant to fight Nate Diaz the second time. The rematch was meant to happen, but then there was some controversy behind the scenes between the UFC and Conor McGregor. Ended up getting pushed to UFC 202. So let's see if he fights at UFC 300. I mean, given how much he's contributed to us building this sport, I think he deserves a spot there too. Yeah, and then hey, look, Dustin Poirier fighting at UFC 299. I'm surprised they didn't, given how stacked UFC 299 already is. I'm surprised they didn't try and push that to UFC 300. So, but yeah, endless possibilities for the lightweight division, man.
Yeah, most definitely. And a couple of things to hit on before we look at the first card of the year. This year, we'll give our thoughts quickly on it. But with McGregor, how many times do you expect him to fight this year? Do you think it's one? That's stretching it. Do you think there's a chance of two?
If he's fighting in July, it's probably going to be one. You know what I mean? Uh, Especially given how what the next step is going to be, especially if he wins, then maybe it's a different story. Maybe we can see him back in December, especially if it's a title shot. We know that the December cards do get really stacked. But outside of that, I mean, look, if he were to not get the win, then it's a different story. We don't know what more we can do in terms of how quickly we can see him come back and fight, and what sort of
Oh,
fights as well.
yeah, I'd love to see. And Dana's hinted that they, will try to get back to Ireland at some point. I think that would be the perfect opportunity if Connor does win. You got Ian Gary, you got some other people. You might be able to get a big event down in Ireland, like you said. But yeah, I probably expect Connor to fight once only. We'll
Yeah,
see from there. But there's been a big announcement in the boxing world as well. Your
yeah.
thoughts on the upset loss from Wilder to Joseph Parker, and that's kind of set up Anthony Joshua now.
Yeah. And look, to go back a little bit and talk about that fight, I know a lot of people were expecting Wilder to, get the win, but it was always going to be a tough matchup. Joseph Parker, only has two losses, which is to AJ and Tyson Fury. So he's an amazing boxer. He's very skilled. He's very talented. He's been a world champion previously. So it's always going to be a tough task. And we know with Wilder, obviously, he's got that great equalizer, which is the one punch knockout power. But what happens if you can't land it, if you don't land it? And that's what sort of we saw in this fight, like a more skilled boxer, being able to manipulate the ring, and sort of land his shots, and set the pace of the fight. We saw Wilder, looking for that knockout, which obviously didn't come, and eventually cost him the fight. Unfortunate, because I was looking forward to that Anthony Joshua versus Wilder fight, and when that didn't eventuate, obviously when he lost, and Anthony Joshua obviously had a great win, statement making, a strong comeback. There were still murmurs even after his last few fights actually, and he has, obviously the fans haven't been too kind to him, but this fight he comes back. He seemed like a man on a mission. His focus came in, and sort of got the knockout. And I was curious to see what's the direction they're going to go in. Are they going to wait and get the winner of Fury versus Usyk, which was a very big possibility? But then, obviously they make the announcement. Obviously, our boy Francis Ngannou, gets the bag again. And look, man, like after the performance that he put against Fury, safe to say, even those who weren't aware of his abilities and his skills in MMA, have now started looking into him, started noticing Francis Ngannou. The name's now slowly becoming a household name in boxing. So it's no surprises. I think it's funny how like the story unfolds. I think Francis Ngannou's story has been nothing short of inspirational, and a sort of uh, I wouldn't say people have been going back on their word, but Dana White saying he's probably not going to make it, and we proved that wrong. We proved a lot of haters wrong in terms of when he made that decision to leave the UFC. There's a lot of chatter. We've spoken about this in length, but also I remember there was an interview with Anthony Joshua when he was questioned about would you fight Francis Ngannou. At the time, he was the UFC champion. There was no boxing talk, and it was going to be an exhibition fight. And Joshua was like, my goal is obviously the championships, and I'm on my journey. But now to see that journey is actually colliding, which is also an indication of how Francis Ngannou is viewed now as opposed to previously. Pretty tough fight, man. I think the fight with Fury, while it was great, obviously for himself and for sort of the boxing community as well, because there was a shake-up, people are now going to be more aware of his skill set, his abilities, and what he can do. I mean, there was talks that obviously Tyson Fury could have been a little bit underprepared going into that fight, and also maybe misjudging Francis Ngannou's skill set. I don't think Anthony Joshua is going to do that. I think he's going to go in prepared, which obviously warrants for a very tough fight. But then again, Francis Ngannou is going to be preparing too, and he's just fought the best boxer in the world, and a lot of people are saying he won. So he's going to obviously ride on that confidence. He's going to prepare. He's got some of the best coaching personnel staff behind him. So we're going to see obviously that unfold. Like I said, I do predict it to be a more tougher fight than what we saw with Fury. That was his first sort of shot at boxing. So a lot of people were unaware of how he moves. How does he box? How does that power translate into boxing? How does the fitness, the cardio translate into boxing? And sort of now there is a gauge, there is an understanding, thanks to that Fury fight. These boxers are now able, and the coaching staff are able to study sort of what happened in that fight. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think Francis has got a big opportunity ahead of himself. Obviously, AJ is a huge name. I think it's going to be a great test for AJ, given what I saw from Francis in his debut. But it's always tough to back up from Francis's side. Now he's got a little bit of hype, and he's really going to have to back up the solid performance. A lot of the talk was that Fury did take Ngannou lightly, but
Yeah.
also Ngannou, we're going to find out, okay, how legit is
Yeah.
he? So yeah, I really look forward to that. We're going to get a press conference, I think, DJ, on January 15, so
Yes.
not long, and we're going to get the answers to some of the questions as to why this came, or how this came about, and everything.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I mean, look, it is. Um, It's an exciting time not only for Francis Ngannou, obviously, like I said, for the boxing community too, because it is a bit of a shake-up. I mean, look, imagine if Francis Ngannou can go in and maybe even get the win, or hold himself, give a good account of himself yet again, right, against another tough, high level boxer, a former champion. It kind of boosts his stock even more, and I think he could become a permanent fixture in that heavyweight scene in boxing. And let's not forget, he's still got a PFL contract as well, and he hasn't. He's expected to make his PFL debut, um, but we've got to wait and see how this boxing career pans out. Well, we're wishing him nothing but the best. Obviously, we want to see him succeed. It'll be nothing short of extraordinary if he's able to continue to climb the ranks and continue to challenge for these big champions. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of hype, obviously, in the boxing um, uh, schedule ahead. Tank Davis, a lot of back and forth. There
yeah,
was some rumors about Lomachenko
yeah,
going to take on Kambosos,
yeah,
which we never got confirmation yet. But yeah, it's going to be
yeah,
another huge year. Canelo, um,
yeah.
continuing. Look forward to talking about it more with you guys. We'll keep you informed on all the boxing latest. Um, but yeah, to wrap up, DJ, well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this weekend's card, the Fight Night Vegas, headlined by Johnny Walker, Ankalev, and Cape. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And look, decent card to start off the year. They usually start with a fight night and then they go into a pay per view. Got a big pay per view coming with Sean Strickland versus Strickus. We'll obviously preview it on the week of the fight, but man, they've definitely boosted the excitement for that card. But this one precedes that, obviously, and this is like the opener for the year. We've got a good main event between Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. It's your favorite fighter, Johnny Walker. You had the opportunity to meet him in person. We obviously the first fight ended unceremoniously with the DQ. Uh, um, Whereas they're running that back. Johnny Walker seems extremely confident. Obviously, Ankalaev is an extremely talented, extremely good high level fighter. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. The first time around, I obviously uh, predicted for Ankalaev to win. However, seeing Johnny Walker's confidence, man, it could be like a 50-50 toss up, which is great. And we've got Manel Cape fighting as well. Man, like he obviously got a lot of attention when he was here last time in Sydney for his theatrics at the press conference and obviously post fight as well. Surprised they didn't make the Kai Kara France one, but maybe he's still injured. So that's if he wins, we can guarantee that somewhere down the track that's going to be the fight. We've got Jim Miller who's fighting, a legend of the game. Dana White's confirmed he's going to be in UFC 300, which is amazing because he's fought at 100, 200, and now he's going to fight at 300. But yeah, like a reasonably solid card. Decent watch. Again, like I said, it kind of whets our palate for what's to come, not just the following week, but for the rest of the year.
yeah. I like some of the prelims, Semmelsberger, and then
Yeah,
I like the Acosta
yeah,
as well, the feature prelim. I
yeah,
like Hawes, who's the first on the first bill on the main event.
yeah,
Yeah, so solid, like you said.
yeah.
And this is going to kickstart the year, like we said, and I think it's going to be a huge one.
Absolutely, man. Like, can't wait for the combat year that is about to unfold in front of us.
Yep, and of course we'll come with a recap of the first card. This card, the Vegas Fight Night, early next week when
Yeah,
it's in the books. Walker Ankalev, obviously, yeah, I think it could go either way. Um,
yeah,
Johnny Walker's kind of had a little bit of a resurgence, so and he's coming up against a very very tough opponent. So look forward to talking about who can get the win. It's early in the week still,
yeah.
but we'll bring you more news in the combat sports world. DJ, any final thoughts?
Nah, man. Like, look, looking forward to, as I said, the combat year that's about to unfold in front of us. Expecting a lot of big fights, not just in MMA but in boxing too. So yeah, man. I mean, we're blessed to be fans of the sport.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, I think we will endeavor to bring you more in terms of the local scene as well. We're
Yes.
passionate about, some up and comers. Also, yeah, Australia, the region, Asia Pacific,
Yeah.
DJ. Yeah, speak on that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think this is something we've been trying to focus on, and obviously there's been some obstacles, and we're working through it. And hopefully this year, like first quarter of this year, is where we're gonna sort of, focus on the local scene and sort of bring news from that area as well into the forefront. So we're looking forward to being able to implement that as well.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big year from PFL as well.
Yeah,
Obviously, with Jake Paul involved heavily, Francis, his debut, um, Diaz. I feel like we're going to get some decisions made from him. Um, Jorge Masvidal um, dropped a little bit of a tease saying unretired. What
yeah.
did you make of that?
Oh, he said I'm retired, but he doesn't say that he's coming back to the UFC. I don't think so. I don't know. Like, I mean, look, unless there's a big fight they can make, a UFC 300. But yeah, maybe he's unretired to box, or do another in another MMA organization. Not sure, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Big name again, man. Like, I mean, some athletes, some fighters, wins and losses. While obviously they do impact in a certain way. There are some fighters who are above that. We see the Conor McGregor's, Israel Adesanya's, and then you'd say, yeah, the money speaks, right? And Jorge Masvidal is one of those fighters, right? Like, I mean, people tune in to watch. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, just to recap my thoughts on that. Yeah, when you're retired for a while, a couple of things. You miss the attention, you miss
Yeah.
the spotlight, such a huge name. But then
Yeah.
no doubt when you start spending and you see your balance go down,
Yeah.
you're still that name that can, pull in the cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if he'd ever do this, but man, he would absolutely be a rock star in bare knuckle if he
Oh,
was to
yeah. Like,
ever
I mean,
do that.
I think Mike Perry called him out, didn't he? Like, he did say like it'll be an honor to fight the OG of bare knuckle, which is obviously game bred Masvidal, and it was back in those days with Kimbo Slice in the backyard. Well, we don't know. Like that, I guess that sort of the unknown kind of excites you as well. We don't know what he said he's unretiring, but that's what just a cryptic post. So we just got to wait and see. We haven't had anything from the UFC to confirm or suggest that he's coming back to the UFC. We haven't had any opponents say anything to even give us a whiff about what's going on. But what's his name? Ben Askren's been calling for that fight. He wants to fight him again, trying to erase that knee.
Yeah, he's got the game bred own promotion, but yeah, if he was to fight a Jake Paul or a Floyd Money Mayweather or something, I mean, he could link up with a whole host of possibilities.
Man,
Still,
I mean,
he's such a beloved name, and I'm thinking about something to do with Miami, man. I think he's either gonna be on it or be part of it, but he's missed the 305 in a way as well, man.
he is, yeah, he is. Like, I mean, the more I think about it, the more the Jake Paul one makes sense because they've sort of whether manufactured or whatever it is, like they've obviously had altercations and they've done podcasts together since, and but I feel like there is some unsettled stuff between them, so maybe that brings back for the excitement because the Jake Paul train's sort of starting to lose a bit of steam. We saw that with the last fight. There wasn't as much tension. Like I remember messaging and saying, "Hey, didn't realize Jake Paul was fighting." I think the promotions weren't as you usually do because obviously the opponent plays a big part too. Great opponent, but not a household name. So not like when he was fighting Tyrone Woodley. Should not go into Tyrone Woodley
Yeah,
topic.
when he lost to Fury, I think
Yeah,
sort of the shine started to go down a little bit, you know.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, didn't he fight Diaz after Fury though? I feel like he fought Nate Diaz
yeah,
after Fury. Yeah.
yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah, so I think it's just more, yeah, like he just needs to be again smart with the names that he picks and probably go back to what he was doing. And I think maybe in that sort of angle, maybe him fighting Masvidal makes sense. Or, but again, we gotta wait and see. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited, like for what Masvidal will do.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be another huge year. Every year we say DJ gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Yep.
same with That's a Tap. Guys,
Yeah.
like, subscribe. We appreciate your support. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Anything you would love to hear. And yeah, we can't wait to come to you for the next episode, the second one of the year. And DJ, let's talk soon.
Peace.